Okay, so if you're someone who constantly feels like you have, I don't know, a dozen mental browser tabs open at once,
Right.
or your to-do list is longer than your arm, and you have this suspicion that all this busyness is just a distraction machine,
Uh-huh.
then this deep dive is, well, it's for you. You want knowledge, you want it quickly and thoroughly, but the sheer volume of everything coming at you makes mental clarity feel almost like a luxury.
That feeling, that perpetual cognitive overload is exactly what we're tackling today.
Okay.
Our mission is to give you a kind of shortcut to mental space. We've synthesized these key strategies designed to reduce mental clutter and that feeling of decision fatigue.
And we're drawing from a specific source for this, right?
Yeah, we're drawing heavily from the practical work of Wall Street Journal bestselling author S.J. Scott.
You know, Scott's background is so interesting because it sort of mirrors the problem he helps people solve.
Yeah,
He has a psychology degree, he served in the U.S. Air Force, got his master's in business.
he walked to that corporate path.
He did. He even said it sometimes felt like that movie Office Space,
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
for sure. But then he broke free, became an online entrepreneur, and has written over 30 self-improvement books.
Yeah.
And he still talks about his aspirational Jedi ambitions.
And it's that journey, from corporate chaos to this focused self-mastery that makes his ideas so resonant.
So what's our roadmap for today?
We're going to unpack this in 3 stages. First, we really need to understand the subtle psychological causes of mental clutter.
Okay.
Second, we'll dive into the foundational physical habits, things like focused breathing, which are often overlooked.
Looking at.
And finally, we'll get into the practical, tactical steps for decluttering our tasks, our space, and of course, our digital lives.
Okay, let's unpack this. I think we have to start with the roots of the problem because the solutions don't really work unless we get why we feel this way.
Exactly. We have to start internally. The core psychological barrier is that our thoughts, they determine our outcomes. If we let this constant loop of negative or chaotic thoughts define our internal state, that chaos just becomes our external experience.
That's a heavy idea. It puts all the control on our internal monologue, which, let's be honest, is notoriously hard to quiet down.
It is hard, but the principle holds.
Yeah.
Henry Ford put it perfectly. He said something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right.
And the first big drain on that internal energy.
It's the relentless need for decision-making.
We think of decisions as just part of life, but the sources point out that too many of them can actually trigger things like anxiety and depression. How does that happen? How does that low-level load start to break us down?
Well, it chips away at our cognitive resources. It leads to something psychologists call ego depletion.
Ego depletion.
Yeah. So when you're forced to make too many minor decisions all day, your bandwidth for the important complex decisions is it's gone. And your body registers this as stress.
Which is why stress shows up physically.
Exactly. Poor sleep, muscle pain, you get sick more easily. That's your body telling you the load is too heavy.
I think we've all felt that breaking point, that moment where the mental load just causes a complete meltdown.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear about people like Dan Harris who talk about how this unresolved stress can just escalate into a major crisis. The noise in our head isn't just distracting, it's physically corrosive if we ignore it.
And this brings us to cause number 2, which is one of my favorite sociological ideas. The paradox of choice.
Ah, yes.
We assume that freedom is having the maximum number of options, but what the sources show is that too many choices often lead to anxiety and dissatisfaction, not happiness.
It's the constant, subtle friction of modern life, isn't it?
Right.
We've been conditioned to believe we have to find the absolute best option, the perfect cereal, the perfect streaming service.
So what used to be a simple purchase now requires research.
Research and comparative analysis, yeah.
The grocery store example is just so perfect. You're not just grabbing milk, you're debating whole 2%, skim, organic, grass-fed, almond, oat, soy.
And the energy required to make that one choice feels completely out of proportion to the task.
It's wasted energy.
Totally wasted. And that's why you see these high-level figures consciously limiting their choices. President Obama, for example, famously wore only blue or gray suits.
That wasn't about fashion.
Not at all. It was a strategy to conserve his cognitive bandwidth. He just outsourced that trivial choice to keep his mind fresh for, running a country.
That's the ultimate productivity hack right there. Just remove the decisions you don't actually need to make.
Precisely. And the third cause flows right from that. Just too much stuff.
Physical and digital.
Both. The accumulation of unnecessary things, that visual noise in our homes, and then the digital flood of gadgets and information. It's a perpetual barrage of stimuli.
So our focus is constantly being pulled away from what matters.
It's visual noise creating mental noise. But, okay, let's shift a bit. We know the causes, the thought patterns, decision fatigue, all the clutter. How do we start building the foundation to push back?
Where do we start?
The sources suggest starting with something we all do, but very few of us do properly. Focused, deep breathing.
It sounds so simple, it's almost a cliche. But if it's the key, why are so many of us stuck in these shallow, stressed breathing patterns?
Because modern life is so sedentary. We hunch over desks, we compress our lungs, and we rely on these short, frantic breaths. It's the same kind of breathing you do in a fight or flight response.
And proper conscious breathing is the antidote.
It's an immediate intervention. It promotes a relaxed state of mind.
So what's actually happening inside our bodies when we do that?
You're triggering what's known as the relaxation response. It's a physiological state of deep rest, and it's the direct counterpoint to the stress response.
So instead of flooding your system with cortisol.
Exactly. You're sending a signal to your nervous system that you are safe.
I think people really need to understand the benefits here, because it's so much more than just feeling a little less stressed.
Oh, they're surprisingly powerful. Deep breathing boosts nitric oxide, which is a molecule that enhances your immunity. It improves blood quality, oxygenation.
Wow.
It even aids digestion, reduces blood pressure, supports heart health, and can assist in weight control. It's like an internal tune-up.
A completely free, always available internal tune-up.
Okay, so for someone listening who wants to start this habit, what are the key foundational practices? How do you do it right?
We have to start with the mechanics. First, improve your posture. You have to sit up straight, either in a chair or cross-legged, to maximize your lung capacity.
If you're hunched over, your lungs can't expand. Makes sense. What's number 2?
Awareness of tension. Before you even start, just scan your body and focus on relaxing tense spots. The shoulders, the neck, the jaw.
We all hold tension there.
We do. And if your body is locked up, your breath will be too.
Okay, so posture, relaxation. What about the actual breathing?
That's the third practice, nasal breathing. Breathe through your nose, not your mouth. The nose acts as a natural filter, warming the air, protecting you. It's physically calming. And the fourth,
Abdominal breathing. You have to feel your stomach expand while you inhale, not just your chest. That's how you know you're getting a truly deep breath.
So that's a really clear physical checklist. But how do you make it a routine? The sources lay out a 7-step plan.
Yeah, structure is key here. Step 1, choose a dedicated time, 10 minutes in the morning, at lunch, whatever works. Step 2, set up a quiet space where you won't be interrupted.
And step 3 is about pacing.
Yeah.
Set a timer for, say, 10 minutes and get into a comfortable position.
Yeah.
What about the actual counting?
Steps 4 and 5 are the technique. You inhale and exhale mindfully, maybe using a count of 4 for each. 4 seconds in, 4 out.
But don't force it.
Right. Pace yourself. Avoid hyperventilation. If you feel lightheaded, slow down the count. Rhythm is the key.
And the last 2 steps.
Practice regularly. That's the most important one. If you skip a day, just pick it up the next day. No judgment. Consistency is what wires this into your daily life.
Okay, so that intentional breathing leads pretty naturally into the second habit, meditation.
Right. Strategic use of meditation. David Levy described it as doing reps at a gym for your attention muscle.
I really like that framing. It demystifies it. It makes it a skill, not some esoteric goal. So if the job isn't to achieve mental silence, what are you actually supposed to be doing?
The job is simply observation. You observe the thoughts and feelings that come up, but without judgment.
So you don't engage with them.
You just acknowledge them. Thich Nhat Hanh said that feelings come and go like clouds. You see them, and then you gently, repeatedly bring your attention back to your anchor, which is usually your breath. You become the watcher of your mind, not a participant in every single thought.
The watcher, not the participant. That's a powerful distinction. But we have to talk about the caveat here. The sources are clear that meditation isn't for everyone.
No, it isn't. And that's a vital piece of nuance. Research has found that for some people, the practice can actually lead to frustration or even an increase in anxiety.
Why is that?
Well, think about it. When you force your attention inward, you might notice for the first time these underlying anxieties or unresolved issues that your mind was busy distracting you from.
So it can be overwhelming.
For some, especially without professional guidance, it absolutely can be. So the takeaway here is to evaluate this habit against your own needs. It's a tool, not a cure-all.
Right. Okay, so now let's transition from that internal world to the external, because our internal state is so heavily influenced by our physical environment.
It really is. If you're struggling to focus, a cluttered environment just makes that struggle harder. So part 3 is all about that external decluttering, your space, your tasks, and your time.
Let's start with possessions. Why do we accumulate so much stuff, and how does that drain our mental energy?
People let their homes become these passive repositories for new whims, for sales, for gifts.
Regardless of whether they need or love the item.
Exactly. And every single unnecessary item in your line of sight is a tiny, unresolved decision. It's visual drag on your brain power.
The sources quote William Morris here, right?
Yeah, it's such a great rule of thumb. Have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful.
That's the perfect test. If it's neither, why is it taking up space in your life? But for someone facing a decade of stuff, starting can feel impossible.
You need instant momentum, so you start where you spend the most time. Your kitchen counter, your desk, the living room. Seeing that immediate clarity gives you the emotional reward you need to keep going.
And once you've picked a space,
You tackle it methodically, top to bottom, left to right. This stops you from getting stuck wondering where to start next. But the real game changer here is how to handle indecision.
pile. The thing that stops everyone.
Right, so instead of letting that one item stop your momentum, you place it in a labeled box, the undecided box, and you put it away.
Out of sight.
Out of sight. You set a calendar reminder for 3 or 6 months. If you haven't needed it by then, you can let it go, guilt-free. It lets you keep the flow going without forcing these really hard decisions.
That box technique is brilliant. It removes the bottleneck. Okay, so now let's pivot from the physical mess to the mess of delayed action, procrastination.
The clutter of our future. And the sources define it not as laziness, but as being driven by fear.
Fear of failure, or even fear of success.
And just plain old distraction.
And the cost of that delay it's just staggering. The statistic in our sources is that procrastination can cost you nearly a full workday each week.
Which adds up to 52 lost workdays a year. 52.
That's over 10 work weeks. You could write a book in that time. You could transform a relationship.
That time theft really shows you how urgent this is. There's that great quote from Christopher Parker. Procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill.
So the solution is immediate structured action. Let's walk through the 6 steps for combating it.
Okay, so the first step is planning ahead. Before you end your day, identify your top 3 most important tasks for tomorrow.
Step 2 is defining your why. You have to connect the task to a meaningful outcome.
Right, you're not just cleaning the garage. You're creating a functional workshop. You're not finishing a report. You're clearing the path for a promotion.
Third, you break it down. You can't write a book, but you can write the outline for chapter 1.
Exactly. Small, actionable subtasks. Then steps 4 and 5 are about optimization. Schedule your tasks for your most productive hours and prepare everything you need the night before.
Remove the friction.
Remove all the friction. And the final step, the moment you complete a task, you immediately move to the next one. You keep that momentum going.
And that momentum is really the core difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling productive.
Which brings us to our last area, this busyness trap and our digital boundaries. We live in a society where saying life is crazy right now is almost a badge of honor.
They like performative exhaustion.
It is, but the sources are clear. Excessive activity actually diminishes creativity. We hit this point of diminishing returns, where more work just yields worse results and higher stress.
We forget the value of just being.
Yes. That's why the sources bring in Winnie the Pooh, of all things. Don't underestimate the value of doing nothing, of just going along, listening to all the things you can't hear, and not bothering.
That intentional rest is productive.
It's essential. And nowhere is the busyness trap more obvious than in our digital lives. The constant notifications, the information seeking, it just fractures our attention into 1,000 tiny pieces.
So we have to impose structure.
You have to. The action here is to actually write down your digital boundaries. When do you use your phone? For what purpose? When is it off limits? Digital sabbaticals, even short ones, are essential.
We have covered a huge amount today. We've traced mental overload back to the paradox of choice and decision fatigue.
And we reinforce the power of these foundational habits, like deep breathing that triggers the relaxation response, and meditation that strengthens our attention.
And we show that the solution to all this external clutter whether it's stuff or tasks, is always decisive, structured action.
It's all about setting up systems like that undecided box or the 6-step plan instead of just relying on willpower, which we know fails.
Ultimately, this whole deep dive is about clearing space so that the things that truly matter can come through. And to leave you with a final thought, I want you to think about the quality of connection in your life. Omid Safi asks this beautiful, provocative question, he says. What happened to a world where we can have slow conversations about the state of our heart and soul, conversations with pregnant pauses and silences that we are in no rush to fill?
And that's really the challenge for you this week. To find that diminishing point of return in your own life, the moment where constant activity starts stealing your joy, and to deliberately choose doing nothing sometimes over perpetual, aimless busyness.